Hello YouTube, my name is Courtney and welcome to my channel, Courtney and Books. It is Mer-May and I don't know where my other mermaid shirt is, but my mother tends to bring me back weird clothes. I don't know where she gets them. I don't really ask questions. She brings back weird clothes every time she visits from Panama, and this is one of the latest things that she brought me, and I thought it was kind of appropriate because it is Mer-May and it is the most mermaidy piece of clothing that I have, or that I can find. I have another mermaid shirt somewhere, but it is like, it's so tiny that it just gets balled up in my drawers and buried, and I decided not to try and look for it. I saw this hanging in my closet and I was like, when else am I gonna wear this? Today I'm doing my April wrap-up, and it's actually kind of my March and April wrap-up because I feel like I didn't read a whole lot of books in April or March, but combined, I read a fair amount of books. I'm gonna try and make this quick because I have been struggling with cameras and memory cards and all kinds of things trying to optimize my YouTube videos, and it all failed miserably. The first book that I read in March, April, actually I'm just gonna keep calling this the April wrap-up because I don't want to say March, April. So the first book that I read in April was Starcross, and if you did not see one of my other videos, I actually did an entire feature on this book because it sort of reinvigorated my love for alien romance. Anyways, I read Starcross. It is #1 in the Forbidden Mate series by Heather Guare, and it features a race of aliens that is kind of, they're all male aliens. They can breed with pretty much any other species they want, but all offspring is male, and it is Skaven. I've said that word so many times, it's the only reason I remember it because I've talked about this book in like 2 other videos already. Anyways, the Skavens are all male, they can breed with anybody, but they have like this special spit, and actually it's not special spit, it's like special bodily fluids. Any bodily fluid is basically like an aphrodisiac for anything that they choose to mate with. And with humans have an extremely exaggerated effect, or are affected by it like in an extremely exaggerated way. The other side of that is that humans actually make Skavens react in a very similar way. So if you have a Skaven and a human in a room together, it is a fest. But in this world, humans are very, very established in the universe. They've colonized other planets. It's been a long time since they've left Earth. They travel space, but they've never heard of Skavens. They have a lot of relationships with other aliens, but Skavens are new to them. So this woman, Lyra, and a few other people are captured by Skavens with the intention of putting them kind of on a like auction so that they can become mates with Skavens and have their babies. But this is sort of outlawed with the Skavens because, like, obviously if their like bodily fluids have that sort of like date rape effect on them, all relationships are basically dubious consent, and so it is outlawed to mate with humans. So we have Azir, who is an enforcer. It is basically like Skaven police, whose entire job is to take apart these trafficking rings. And in doing so, when this ship lands on this like uninhabited planet, he sees one of the cargo, or one of the women, run off into the woods, and he's been kind of like following these Skavens, this trafficking ring and everything. He sees her run into the woods. He decides he's gonna help her. He catches up with her, and obviously is totally enthralled by her the moment he sees her, the moment he smells her, scents her, whatever. But he has to like try really hard to keep his distance. But because he is the same species as the Skavens that took her, she is very hesitant to trust him, and it ends up sort of being like a survival romance where they're trying desperately not to be attracted to each other, but they very much are. And in the process of, or over time, as they are trying to resist each other, they start to become attracted to each other emotionally, which I thought was really, really adorable. And they do fall in love, they do develop a relationship, and I thought it was really, really cute. And if you missed my video going like deep into this book, it is somewhere on my channel, probably linked below. Find it if you're interested. I thought it was a great book. I thought it was so great that I read the next 2 books in Heather's Forbidden Mate series. The second one was Moonstruck, and I actually enjoyed this one much better than the first one. Not that I didn't enjoy the first one, but this one vibed with me more. This one features one of the other women that Lyra was captured with, and her name is Hadiza, and she is a doctor. And not just a doctor, but she's basically like a war doctor. So she's seen a lot. She has PTSD. She's captured by these aliens, and when Lyra escapes, it is an entire plan with all the other women on the ship, but Lyra is the only one to actually escape. Hadiza actually ends up getting captured in their escape attempt and is sent to auction, where another enforcer, whose name is Errol, finds her, bids on her, and ends up acquiring her. And the reason for this is that there's a lot of like undercover stuff going on to try and take apart these trafficking rings. So he can't really just like outright attack them, but he sees her, he decides he's going to rescue her specifically, and he takes her and they run away. Their ship is damaged. They end up having to go to some other planet. I can't remember like exactly what that planet is, but it has a civilization. They end up staying in like a hotel or something while one of the ship's parts is being built in this city. And during that time, they're again trying desperately to resist each other because Errol, it's against his laws to mate with her. Hadiza is extremely attracted to him, but also doesn't fully trust him. So the entire book is like, there's so much sexual tension between them because, you know, they want to be with each other, but, you know, there's a lot of factors that could really mess with the emotional relationship because it's all very lustful and they try really hard to resist that lust, but then in doing so, they get to know each other very, very intimately. It's kind of a forced proximity sort of thing because they're hiding out and they have to be in this hotel room together, which is really difficult because like Errol is always smelling how amazing she is and wants to mate with her, and then she's like, oh, he's really hot. So I mean, the tension between them was amazing. I loved their relationship. I loved the characters. Everything was really, really, really sexily done. Like Heather writes these characters in such a way that is just hot. And the whole concept of like aphrodisiac spit or like bodily fluids sounds so ridiculous, but somehow she makes it really sexy. So you just have to take my word for it and read these books. If you like alien romance, these are a really good change of pace because, like I said before, alien romance a lot of times gets caught in that fated mates trope, which is fine, but sometimes I get a little bit sick of that and I want a little bit of a change of pace, and her books definitely were that. They really, like I said, reinvigorated my love for alien romance because they were different and I enjoyed the crap out of them. The next book is, you guessed it, number 3 in the Forbidden Mate series by Heather Guare, and it is called Heartsong. Unlike the first 2 books in the series, this is not about a Skaven with the magical spit. This is about a different race. I can't remember what it's called, but they're very dragon-like. They're very scary. It is, again, a race that humans have never heard of or never interacted with. And it's worth mentioning that in this universe that Heather has built, because humans are in space and they're communing with all these different aliens and there's relationships with all these different cultures, there is a universal language called the Creole. I believe that's what it's called, that most aliens know. And so it's kind of like, I believe in Star Wars it's called, actually I can't remember what it's called in Star Wars, but I know there's a common language in Star Wars as well. And I used to know the alphabet because I'm that much of a nerd. But, you know, a lot of these science fiction stories where humans are having these relationships with aliens and it's very galactic, or, you know, the scale is very galactic, then there's usually a common language, which makes sense. And that eliminates one of my pet peeves, which is magical translators that can understand any language, no matter whether they've heard it or not. Anyways, everybody knows the Creole in this universe, and that makes it so that they can all like communicate. So in Heartsong, we have Thema, who is, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She married a guy and then she became his wife, and he was kind of an asshole. So he kind of used her a lot. He was very abusive. He captures this alien, like I said, that is not known to humans. And I can't remember again what his race is, but he is very dragon-like, very scary. They use this really cool language that is kind of song-like and rhythmic. And so when he speaks, like they have a lot of tones. I mean, like, when I read the book, it sounded like a lot of different voices talking on top of each other. Like they have almost more vocal cords than humans do. And so when he speaks in the Creole, like the common language, it actually hurts him because he has to separate his vocal cords. And I thought it was really cool. Like the way she explained it was really cool. Anyways, he is taken prisoner by Thema's husband, who is a big deal. I don't remember where they are, but he's a big deal where they are. He's like the leader or the governor or something like that. And he is questioning him. They don't know what he is. They've commandeered his ship. He's in prison. This dragon man, he's in prison. His name is Ragnar. Her husband keeps questioning him, trying to figure out who he is, kind of trying to pin crimes on him. The rumors are that this species like eats people and they're really scary and nobody really understands them. But her husband decides to use her and brings her down to the prison. He's like, talk to him. Get some answers out of him. She doesn't want to because she's super scared of him, but also her husband is super abusive and does really horrible things to her at night. And it's very awful. So he forces her to go down there and talk to him. This dragon man does not want to talk to her, but he starts to get the vibe that she is unhappy in her marriage and that her husband is abusive, especially because the second time she is sent down to talk to her or talk to him, she is basically like got bruises and she's very closed off and it looks like something happened to her, which something did. There are trigger warnings in this book, so read them before you read the book. But anyways, she is in a position where she's kind of scared for her life if she doesn't talk to this dragon alien man and get some answers out of him. Because of this, our dragon alien man decides that he is actually starting to become very protective of her. She decides that she's going to help him escape because she is sick and tired of her husband being a jerk. So she helps him escape. This dragon man owes her a debt. He takes her with him on his ship when they escape, and they end up like freeing all the other prisoners that her husband has been holding this whole time. And they get stranded on an alien planet together. I can't remember how they get separated from the other people on the ship, but the ship crashes and somehow they are off on their own on this planet. When they come to, they see smoke where they think the ship has crashed, and the majority of the book is them traveling together to try and get back to the ship. And while they are doing that, they are just getting to know each other. She starts to understand his language a little bit because she was a singer in her past life, not like past life literally, but like before she got married to her husband, you know, because she was performing for people, she was a singer. Oh, that's what it was. She was a singer. She was a famous singer. She was like the Taylor Swift of this sci-fi alien world. And then she married this guy, and she's a celebrity, but she's still trapped and enslaved by her situation. Anyways, so they're traveling together. And because she is a singer, she can kind of start picking up certain rhythmic or melodic tones that her alien dragon companion speaks to her, and that intrigues him immensely. So while they're traveling together, they start to fall in love. But our dragon man is already betrothed to somebody who is very like prominent in his culture. So he's trying his very, very best not to fall in love with this woman, but it doesn't work. Obviously, he starts to fall in love with her and she starts to fall in love with him. And I think honestly, it's a tie between the first book and the second book and the third book in the series on which one I liked more. I just loved the characters so much in these stories. And if you're into alien romance, read these books. They're so good. They're so refreshing. They're so different from other alien romances. So I loved them. Just read them. Bound to an Orc is the next one that I read, and I sort of briefly talked about this in my last video, which is a deep dive into why people like orc romance. Anyways, Bound to an Orc is the first book in the Blood Debt series by Erin Rookwood, and it features Elodie, who is the rightful queen to her realm. I don't remember exactly why she wasn't in her realm at the time that the story started, but anyways, she is the rightful queen. She has a small band of people who are very loyal to her, and she is traveling to her kingdom to reclaim her throne. In doing so, they cross through orc territory, and when they are crossing through orc territory, orcs are kind of known in this universe to be enemies. They're ruthless, they're awful, they're mean, they're bloodthirsty, but they're traveling through orc territory, and they are attacked by wraiths. And while they're being attacked by wraiths, a horde of orcs comes in and saves them. And while they're saving them, the chieftain, or I believe he was a chieftain, he's some sort of a leader, gets in between Elodie and an arrow or something and ends up bleeding for her. And because of that, he claims a blood debt. Basically, he chases off her entire group of people and is like, if you don't leave my woods, I will kill you all. But I'm going to keep Elodie for a month because she owes me a blood debt because I bled for her and I saved her life. Elodie is thinking the absolute worst. She's like, they're going to ravage me. They're going to imprison me. I'm going to die in this month that I have to spend with the orcs. Cormag he's the one that decided to claim the blood debt. And he is not really looking for a relationship. He's actually trying to get her to break a curse that has been set upon his people and his land. But in their time together, Elodie is just so confused about how attracted she is to this big, green, horrible man, and they end up developing a relationship throughout this time. Without giving anything away, I thought it was really cute in terms of orc romance because I'm not really a fan of orc romance. There are very few books that I found that I've really, really vibed with. I actually really enjoyed this one, so if you're looking to get into the genre, I recommend it. If you have read a lot of other orc romances, I also recommend. The next book that I read was Base Zero, which is number 2 in Captured Earth by A.G. Wilde. I read the first book in the series a very, very long time ago. Not very, very long time ago, like a year ago. And I really, really enjoyed it because in terms of alien romance, it was different. And I liked it. So a quick recap of the background of these books. I don't really think they have to be read together, but you will definitely benefit if you read them in order because the first book does kind of introduce what happened to Earth. So these big, awful, disgusting aliens attacked Earth. They are looking for water sources, but also in doing so, they are basically impregnating female women with their offspring. And when these women are impregnated with their offspring, they actually end up dying. So a lot of humanity has been wiped out. It's very post-apocalyptic. They have these giant machines that kind of suck up the water, and the men, they kind of liquefy into food to either feed the females or feed themselves. I can't remember. But anyways, so this race of aliens comes from afar to sort of not really liberate Earth, but sort of get revenge on these creepy aliens, this other race of aliens, because these creatures that are looking for water sources did the same thing to their planet. And they took all their females and they devastated their population. So they are looking for revenge, and they just happen to come upon Earth when they're in the midst of this huge attack, this huge apocalypse. And they find this group of women that is trapped in one of these big alien organic machine things and decides to kind of take on the responsibility of protecting them. It's not in any way supposed to be like, oh, we need females to repopulate our world. It's more like we feel responsible for these people because these creatures did the same thing to our world and we're here trying to help. Anyways, so the first book, without getting to the first book, the second book is about somebody mentioned in the first book, but is a completely different story. Humans have kind of taken residence in these cave systems with these other aliens, these alien men protecting them. And it's actually a very simple story because Sam, I write down names now. Sam and Gavar have been kind of attracted to each other, but kind of not for a while. In the first book, I believe it is mentioned that they kind of noticed each other. Gavar is attracted to her. Sam is scared of him and everybody of his species because they are weird looking. And they are sent off to find food because their little tiny colony living in the caves is kind of starving to death. And the hunting is difficult. Those other aliens looking for water sources and looking to impregnate women are still kind of lurking about, so it's very dangerous to go out. So Gavar, Sam, and a little group of people goes out to find food, and Gavar and Sam get separated from everybody. And in their attempt to survive, they realize their feelings for each other. It's pretty simple. It's not some crazy storyline. It's just them having this relationship, and I thought it was cute. I liked the first book better because I liked the build-up and the lore and the action and everything, but the story was cute, and I am going to read the rest of the books. it's just taking me a very long time. The last book on my list is called Good Intentions, and it is the first in the Road to Hell series by Brenda K. Davies. This is a good change of pace for me because I am usually a sci-fi, alien, romance, fantasy type person. This is a post-apocalyptic world where hell has basically boiled over and come into our world. Humans got so drunk with the idea of new technology and all kinds of things like that, and ended up opening a portal into hell, and hell came into our world and created an apocalypse. We have River, who is recruited by these mysterious people to go to, it's basically like going to the wall, I guess. I mean, like, you're recruited into this sort of army situation, and they train you, and rumors are that you don't come back. So she says goodbye to her family that she's been having to take care of because her mother is a deadbeat who thinks she is the spawn of the devil. And she goes to this camp unwillingly, and she meets a demon who's very sexy, because demons are training humans to basically be an army against evil or against other demons. Anyway, she meets Cobalt, and he starts to realize certain things about her that are different from other humans, and starts to take a special interest in her. And she doesn't want to be there. She's very combative. She's very rebellious, but also starts to have feelings for Cobalt, who is this huge demon sexy man who trains her. And he starts to unveil some things about her past that she didn't know, and the two start to grow closer together because he's starting to realize certain things about her that make her different from other people. So he's kind of the only one that can understand her. She starts to feel more at home with him because of certain things that she grew up with that she never understood herself. And they start to fight in this war together while being very attracted to each other and building a very cute and sexy relationship. I am right now reading, I can't remember if it's a sequel or if it is a spin-off, but it is a book in this same world, and I am reading it right now, and I enjoy it. And if you are somebody who likes sort of demonic or like hellish romance type books, I mean, I recommend it. I thought it was good. That is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully I read more are we in May? In May. Hopefully I read more books in May. I am in the process of reading a lot of books. I am like halfway done with like 10 different books. Hopefully I finish them all before the end of May, but I do have a convention coming up at the end of the month that I will be at. I do have a booth there, so I am preparing for that. So hopefully I will be able to get all my videos out in a timely manner. I might vlog that entire experience. We'll see. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have suggestions for other romance books, put them in the comments. I'm always willing or always eager to know what you guys think. I am almost to 600 subscribers on my channel, and unlike everything else that I feel like I need to do alone, I cannot do this without you guys. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you enjoy romance books, I am here for it. Like this video, comment on this video. It really helps me out. Check out the links below for other ways to support my channel. And until next time, happy reading. Bye!